CTV News with Caroline Van Vlartigan.
Good evening. For many West Island commuters, today was the day they had long waited for, the first real test of the new West Island branch of the REM. And despite chronic issues with other branches of the existing REM, the review from commuters was good. Matt Grillo reports.
The first train left Fairview Point Claire and headed downtown. Served as the first real test run for the new line, and commuters say it went smoothly.
I like it. It cuts my time from 2 hours to an hour.
West Islanders have waited for years to have access to the Ansalom branch.
Heading to McGill College, yes, it's a game changer for me. Like usually I'll drive to Roxborough, Purefond, and take that REM, but I'm testing this one out. No car, so we'll see what happens.
Some took the bus directly to the REM. The Fairview bus terminus has been moved and now sits underneath the elevated track. When commuters exit their bus, they are just steps away from the train.
The mindset behind the REM is to promote commutes and so to take bus line to go directly.
The Fairview station has 300 free parking spots, and though it did not fill up on Tuesday morning, there are concerns it might not be enough if the REM picks up in popularity.
As I have issues when I go to the Roxborough station, there's very little unpaid parking. I don't really feel like paying for parking, as well as paying for an Opus card. So I really think that we could use some additional parking.
Paul Sarr, the REM's operator, says there is a possibility of adding an additional 200 spots for a total of 500. The REM's reliability is also important.
If there's parking reliability, it's going to be, I think, really good. It'll help the traffic too, because I think a lot of people that drive will prefer to take this.
A quicker commute without wasting time in traffic.
Our workers are leaving from Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue going to Gare Centrale, downtown Montreal. It would take approximately 38 minutes.
About 80 trains a day will run in each direction on the Ansalom line, picking up passengers every 14 minutes during peak hours. Matt Grillo, CTV News.
Well, it appears the Churchill Falls deal between Quebec and Newfoundland will have to be renegotiated. That's the recommendation from a review of the 2024 agreement commissioned by Newfoundland and Labrador.
It is a cause that is of vital importance to this province and for all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians now and long into the future.
The new Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, Tony Wakeham, was elected last year and had been vocal about his opposition to the agreement negotiated by his predecessor. The review concluded the agreement was not to the benefit of the province. The conclusions of the first large-scale study on the eating habits of Quebecers is in, and the results are Quebecers love their cheese and salty meals, but they don't eat enough vegetables. Here's Stéphane Giroux.
The study focused on the eating habits of 7,000 Quebecers, and the authors say they found some worrying facts.
We have in this report, we show that less than 4 out of 10 Quebecers achieve the 5 servings per day of fruits and vegetables. So, it's like 6 out of 10 are not able to do that.
What we do eat is a lot of cheese and a lot of salt. Way too much salt.
And our report identify 3 foods that are responsible for 50% of the sodium intake in Quebec. All the sauces and condiments that we put on our meals, they're very salty. Bread is the second one, and cheese.
Salt, just like processed food, is considered a major factor when developing cardiovascular disease. The study is aimed at providing better strategies to encourage healthier eating habits, says nutrition professor Dr. Stéphanie Chevalier.
So some sort of fighting against the food environment. Bombarding us with all of these easily accessible foods and all prepared foods that are typically those who carry the most sodium or fat or sugar or a mixture.
The good news is that Quebecers have cut down on their enormous sugar consumption. But health experts say that the real change will begin when people start cooking at home again.
Eating just plain vegetables is boring. So we need to prepare them, to make them appetizing and tasteful. And that requires some cooking skills. And this is another aspect that I think is missing in our entire society.
It's a challenging proposition in a society where time is short and temptations constant all around us. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
A man was stabbed in RDP last night. The 49-year-old man was found unconscious on Elie Beauregard near Pera Boulevard around 9:15 last night. He's now recovering in hospital. There have been no arrests. The Director of Youth Protection in Quebec says progress has been made. The Laurent Commission into Child Safety made 64 recommendations 5 years ago, citing the failures that led to the death of a 7-year-old girl in Granby. Leslie Hill says since that time, about half the recommendations have been put in place and the rest are being worked on.
Major investments made in prevention, in first-line services, to try and sort of swing things around so that we're giving as much help to families as we can in communities before we use the Youth Protection Act. For youth protection itself, there have also been huge investments made in the last years.
Well, after their win against the Buffalo Sabres, the Montreal Canadiens are now in the Eastern Conference Final. The team now looks ahead to Game 1 and the Carolina Hurricanes. The final goal in overtime sent people pouring into the streets to celebrate last night. Here's Matt Gilmore.
Shot, score! A Game 7 winner in overtime, sending a packed Bell Center into dreamland and the Habs into the third round.
It's a crazy feeling, a lot of emotion. Obviously, it was a war all series long, and for it to end up being Game 7 in overtime.
No, it was an amazing shot, amazing play. It took everything that we had to get through this series, and now we gotta just reset, get some rest, and get ready to go to Carolina.
The game was played in Buffalo, but for the 21,000 Habs faithful watching along at the Bell Center, it was a roller coaster of emotion.
How's your heart rate? Really high. Yeah, it's hard to watch sometimes.
Then finally, relief and euphoria.
What emotion! And it's a still. I can't even explain. There's no words. No words. We get to see another round of playoff hockey.
Outside, the party continued in the street.
Honestly, it was a tough battle, but the thing is, with the Habs, we never lose in Game 7.
Police say most fans left peacefully, but there were some incidents. 2 people were detained and ticketed for lighting fireworks outside the arena, and tear gas had to be deployed when a small group started throwing bottles and garbage cans at officers. Besides the trash left behind, there was no damage reported, and police did not make any arrests. Still, the mayor is calling for calm in the next round.
Let's enjoy the spirit of the Habs, and let's just do it in a secure manner, respectful manner.
The Habs now take the experience of another dramatic Game 7 win to Carolina to face the Hurricanes, who are so far undefeated in the playoffs.
But to get to live this these do or die situation in terms of you're moving on or you're done, the scoring the big goal, the overtime, that feeling that a player has, it's unbelievable.
Game 1 goes Thursday at 8 o'clock. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
Well, meantime, the Victoire lost their game to Ottawa last night, meaning there will be a 4th game in the PWHL finals. The Charge scored 2 goals in the last minutes of the game to win 2-1. Montreal now leads the best-of-5 series 2-1. Montreal's coach says the team needs to do a better job in the 3rd period.
The game is never going to be won or lost in the first period, and I think that that's something that everybody needs to realize as well. Is it's a long game, it's a chess match, it's establishing your game plan and trying to establish it before the other team.
And Game 4 of the Walter Cup Finals is tomorrow. Meanwhile, the league has announced that San Jose is the next expansion team. The PWHL now has 12 teams entering its 4th season, double what it had since it was established just 3 years ago. Well, not only are the Habs in the playoffs, but F1 fans from around the world are now arriving in Montreal, and that means getting around downtown as of Thursday is going to be a challenge, to say the least. Here's Christine Long.
Big weekend for Montreal.
Up to 130,000 people are expected for the F1 Grand Prix race day on Sunday.
It is the biggest sporting and tourism event in the country.
Add to the Grand Prix festivities downtown, there will also be playoff hockey parties around town.
It will be a really big moment for Montreal, and for sure the public transportation, it's the way to use.
Laurence Audroy of the STM says they're ready for the crowds.
For the 3 days of the event, we add more service in the metro, specifically on the yellow line, and also we modulate the service depending on the ridership and the schedule of the event. We also add more employees on in different stations.
STM bus 777 and adapted transport buses will shuttle people to Parc Jean Drapeau, but cars that aren't already accredited for the races will not be allowed. Want to ride to the race? Extra Bixi bikes and 500 parking spots for personal bikes are available. Sandrine Garneau says F1 team started preparations early.
From an operational standpoint, it was crucial for us to be able to start our build in the fall. With the winter that we just had, which was particularly spicy, it would have been very difficult for us to be able to start our build in February and then be able to deliver for a May event. We are the only Grand Prix that is built in Nordic conditions.
Winter was rough on our roads, but Grand Prix organizers promise the construction festival takes a break this weekend.
There's all kinds of works going around all the cities, so we've been working many months ago now on going around those work, making sure that they will be stabilized or less bigger in the spaces. To make sure that the weekend there'll be more fluidity in the mobility.
The Grand Prix grandstands are sold out. General admission tickets are still available for now. Christine Long, CTV News.
2 different diseases are affecting oysters again this season. Known as MSX and Dermo, they can affect both farmed and wild oysters, lowering their growth rates. These diseases have been around almost a century, but they have worked their way up the eastern seaboard to the Maritimes, Newfoundland, Labrador, and Quebec, affecting anywhere from 10 to 90% of oyster stock. Some healthy oysters can be used to rebuild stock, though, depending on the region.
Anywhere from 10 to 30% can be resistant through historical records in the eastern seaboard. And so those oysters are going to be the ones that rebuild the new stock.
And McMurray advises buying oysters from a reputable fishmonger or restaurant that does not keep more than a few days' worth of stock. At City Hall today, a big nod from the city that some restaurants have been waiting for years to get. 61 restaurants in the city or the Montreal region have been recognized by the Michelin Restaurant Guide this year. And today's ceremony at City Hall with the mayor was to give the restaurants the red plaques they will now post that certify their Michelin recognitions. 3 restaurants in the Montreal area were awarded a Michelin star this year, while others stood out for affordability and sustainability. And still to come, the upsides and the downsides of aging explored in a new book.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news.
Well, the last of the baby boomers are realizing something that our parents told us: getting older is not for sissies, although it is not without a bit of humor as well. Janet Torge is a Montreal writer and filmmaker who's written a book on getting older. It's called I Can't Believe I'm Old, and Janet Torge joins us now. So hi, Janet. Full disclosure, I have to say I've known you for many years, and I've always thought of you as a very young-minded, free-spirited person, but was there a moment that made you realize you were no longer young?
it kind of creeps up on you. I don't think there was a moment. I think little things start happening. You fall here, you can't get to the end of the driveway once, you're not looking things properly. And then all of a sudden, like, oh my God, I'm old. This is what it's all about. So I've been writing about, just writing thoughts about this for, I would say, 15, 20 years. So it's a long road to hoe, let me tell you.
Yeah, and your book is different from other books you had read yourself on aging, right? About like how to preserve your body, how to live longer, how to preserve your finances and all that. What is different about your book?
Because I think I talk about the experience of being old, and I'm not trying to make you younger. I'm not trying to get you to live to 100. I'm just sort of looking at the experience of it. So it's like cheater glasses and not talking about sex and, getting to bed at 10 o'clock. Like, what happened to the big parties? I don't know. So it's all of these things that kind of disappear. And then all of a sudden you think, oh my God, I'm getting up later. I'm taking lots of vitamins for what exactly? Your body is falling. There are a million different things.
And you say you've been writing about getting older for a long time because you had a column in a newspaper about getting older, so you've been doing this for a while. But is there anything in this book for younger readers, Janet, as well?
Well, it'll help them understand their parents. Let's go there first. And it might also help them understand what's coming down the pike, because our experience of aging, theirs will be a little different because mine was a little different than my parents, but it's still the same thing.
Well, we do apologize for the audio issue we had with that interview with Janet Torge. If you'd like to see the entire interview, it is on our website, ctvmontreal.ca, and she will be speaking at the Atwater Library, reading from her book on Thursday at 11:30 or 12:30. We're not really sure, but anyway, you can find it online. She will be there, and thank her for the interview. Meantime, speaking of aging, peptides and creatine are being marketed to people on social media as solutions for everything from anti-aging and weight loss to pain relief. GLP peptides do help weight loss, but others are being sold online without any significant data or regulation. And while creatine helps increase muscle performance and recovery, it is still being studied.
It actually may help. It's very useful for people that are doing training, athletes, older adults that are trying to preserve muscle mass. Some vegetarians actually take it as a supplement because they don't consume as much creatine in their diet. And most healthy people actually tolerate very well. It's important to stay hydrated. And the only drawback is that some people that have kidney disease should talk to their physician first.
And he cautions against online drug purchases since they are not regulated as well as medications and supplements bought in stores. Well, in the midst of all the hockey, Montreal is also gearing up for the Grand Prix. Here's Sweeta Rassi on that.
The transformation happens every year, turning Circuit Gilles Villeneuve from a public park into a circuit fit for Formula One. And with the Canadian climate, that's no easy task.
We're the only Grand Prix that gets built during a winter climate, and this winter has been particularly rough for us. But with the great partnership that we have with the park and the city of Montreal, we were able to start some of our build in the fall, which is ultimately what saved us.
Sandrine Garneau is a chief operating officer for the Canadian Grand Prix. She says it takes 5,000 workers and volunteers to pull it all off.
Everything else, from the fencing, from the grandstands, the hospitalities, the platforms, all of those are 100% temporary. We have 17 kilometers of fencing that goes on at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We also have 200,000 square feet of structures that are built off of scaffolding.
For the first time ever, organizers are combining the race weekend into a festival experience with big names coming to town.
This year, we concentrated a lot on fan experiences. One of the biggest, newest aspects that we have is the CTV experience. So you have F1 experience by day, and then you have concerts at night. We have a full Canadian lineup with Simple Plan on the Friday, Bryan Adams on the Saturday, Alicia Cara and the Beaches on Sunday.
A ninth consecutive Canadian.
Last year, more than 350,000 fans were at the track over the course of the weekend. And this year, they're expecting even more. And to handle the crowds, they've added more elite suites.
And the fans, they always embrace Formula One. Like, the city comes completely alive during F1, which is absolutely wonderful. This year, lucky enough, we also have the halves that are going on at the same time, which is going to make for an absolutely effervescent weekend. It's going to be completely wild.
And it all happens this weekend. Sweet Arasi, CTV News.
Well, the Prime Minister was at the Matawini mine in Quebec today to launch the construction of what's being called the largest graphite mine in the G7.
In 1 year, we have signed 56 agreements on critical minerals with more than 10 countries because they know the world needs reliable partners in a dangerous world. And we know that entrepreneurs, such as those gathered here today, need predictability in the age of uncertainty.
And the mine is expected to produce more than 100,000 tons of graphite a year over the next 25 years.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, if you didn't know better, we might say it was a beautiful summer day. We woke up to a temperature of 24 degrees in the Montreal area, and that's typically what we'd see at the middle of June. But on top of that, looking at our record high for today, that was sitting at 33.9 degrees. That's back from 1962. But Environment Canada saying that with the humidity, it felt more like 35. And the warm weather is expected to continue headed into tonight. So we're looking at a low of 22 for the evening. That's above our usual daytime high right now. Also expecting to see a 40% chance of some drizzling continuing into tomorrow morning before we return to a temperature of 22 as our daytime high for tomorrow. Along with that, we're looking at mainly sunny skies by the afternoon, so some good news there. Our futurecast showing us some clouds in the Montreal area. If we jump to 8 a.m. tomorrow, that's when we see that drizzle coming in. But again, we're looking at that clearing out into the afternoon and remaining pretty clear as we head later into the evening. Things are looking like they will cool down a little bit though on Thursday. So still expecting to see mainly sunny skies, but that would be along with a daytime high of 16 degrees. And of course, it's Formula One weekend coming up, and we are looking at more temperatures in the low 20s. So 20 on Friday, 21 on Saturday and Sunday, along with some showers coming in to end off the weekend.
Well, some little ducklings got stuck in a storm drain, and luckily for them, Nicole Palagian heard their quacks for help. She was on her way to work this morning when she spotted a duck frantically pacing around a manhole at the bottom of her driveway in RDP. Palavan couldn't lift the manhole cover herself, so she dialed 311, and a city crew showed up in about 10 minutes. She then ended up being late for work, but says she didn't mind because they managed to get 14 ducklings that were trapped inside out.
As you can see by the pictures, they had to make shift their way with the bucket. They pulled out the babies. They just lowered it lower, and they would just hop in. They would basically, how could I say, fish them out with the bucket. And as you see, they pulled them out and they just threw over the water, and the babies knew right away. They went to their mummies, to their mom, so it was nice. At first, even when my neighbors came out to feed, we said, as mummies, as moms, we feel her pain, actually. And it felt good, and I was really happy that the city came right away. I thought, forget it, they won't. But the guys came, the Philippe and Maxime, hats off to them, honestly.
How cute are they? And that wraps it up for us tonight. That's the latest. For the latest news, you can listen to the Andrew Carter Morning Show at 5. And of course, you can always head to ctvnewsmontreal.ca for extended coverage. Thanks for staying up late with us. Have a good night.